Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and guys, we got some stuff to talk about today with your Vancouver Canucks. Things are getting interesting in Vancouver, and there was a little bit of a storyline, just with the on-ice product of the Vancouver Canucks, but things have gotten, let's just say, much more complicated than that. And it's led to, from what was just a bad losing streak to bad on ice performance to, contract talks with, what's going on with, can they fire guys that they just gave long-term extensions to in Travis Green and Jim Benning. And then trade chatter talk came up, and then locker room stuff started to get leaked out as well. So we're going to be going over all of that today. So it started off with Rob Simpson, and Rob Simpson had a couple of little things that kind of started this thing off. There was some trade talk around the Canucks forward Brock Boeser, and that it has, quote, heated up. And I know Canucks fans, every time I say there could be a Brock Boeser trade, maybe to the Flyers, maybe to Carolina, maybe to the Islanders, maybe to a team on the East Coast that needs scoring help, they always say no way. It's not going to happen. Well, things may just be changing in that regard because, it might take a big move for the Canucks at this point in terms of if they want to bring in a player, they're going to have to move out some salary cap space in order to make that kind of trade to maybe, dare I say, bring in a big defenseman. That may be part of the deal here, and it may be a guy like Boeser. So that's the first thing that came out. Then Rob Simpson said, based on that Boeser report, that, the follow-up to that potential trade for Boeser could be problematic, specifically to Elias Pettersson. If the Canucks were to trade Brock Boeser, Elias Pettersson would not be happy, which I think is pretty fitting. That's his scoring winger. Why would you be happy with your guy getting traded? A guy that, these two have kind of grown up in the NHL together, and it would definitely be rough on Pettersson if he lost a guy like Boeser. Definitely would lower the morale and maybe some of the, respect for the organization from Pettersson. Again, this is all speculation, but it's something to consider. If, everybody says, all right, well, we're okay trading Boeser. Well, now there could be some fallout from the team and some of their higher-end players like Pettersson. And then comes something from Rick Dhaliwal. There have been teams calling, asking about Canucks forwards Bo Horvat and JT Miller. There's been a lot on Bo Horvat, but interestingly, there's been more about JT Miller, which we're going to get to in a minute. And that's maybe a little bit of a foreshadowing to the juiciness that becomes part of this, I guess you could say, drama in the locker room. The Minnesota Wild have called the Canucks in regards to forward JT Miller. That was from Ben Kuzma. Now, later reports later this week have since come out and actually debunked that. Let me find it here. Okay, so let's see. So Canucks are getting calls on a lot of players right now, and this is from Rick Dhaliwal from Sportsnet. Canucks are getting calls on a lot of players right now. Bo Horvat is getting a bulk of those calls. Of course he is, because he's the captain of the Canucks and is a really good player. The Vultures are out, and that's from Dhaliwal. The Canucks are adamant the rumor of the Wild to Vancouver talking about a potential JT Miller trade was not true. So that was Dhaliwal kind of shutting down Kuzma's reports there. And we've also heard some more fallout from that. I'll get to that in a second. The Kevin Fiala and the Canucks is a fit that has been explored, and that was from NHL Rumors Daily. But again, Dhaliwal kind of shot that one down as well. But there's definitely some kind of fit there, especially if you're Bill Guerin, who missed out on the Jack Eichel sweepstakes, who missed out on the Christian Fischer sweepstakes. We seemingly think Tomas Hertl's going to stay in San Jose, or he might test the free agency market next summer. So who are the other options? Well, you throw Bo Horvat in that mix. Wouldn't Bo Horvat be a really nice center to play alongside a guy like Kirill Kaprizov? couldn't there be a nice fit there? I wonder, right? There's a reason why those talks are there. It's because there seemingly is a fit there. Whether it's realistic or not is, that's maybe part of it, but still. And then again from Dhaliwal, the Canucks are getting calls on a lot of players. Bo Horvat is the bulk of the calls. That was from Dhaliwal. We also got from Matt Sekiras. Matt Sekiras. Probably not pronouncing that right. But this is where things get a little bit interesting with this Vancouver Canucks situation. So Bo Horvat missed the Canucks Halloween party, and his teammates read into it. So that's a little bit strange. The captain of the Canucks doesn't want to go to his own team that he's supposedly the leader of. He doesn't want to go to their own Halloween party. Well, there may be more to the story here. This is also from Matt Sekiras. Probably pronouncing it wrong, but I'll probably put his name in here. JT Miller can be, in quote, profane, impulsive, obnoxious, but at times can also be a good leader for the Canucks. So question of character comes into the equation for JT Miller, who we were just talking about may be circulating in trade rumors, but he's a good leader. Okay, so let's see where this goes. And this is from Don Taylor, so this is another report. The Canucks are a JT Miller-led veteran group that are fed up with the younger players. Interesting. So JT Miller, who, if you don't know the context here, JT Miller wears an A for the Canucks. He's an alternate captain. While Bo Horvat is the guy with the C, who is supposed to be the captain of the Canucks. And now there also seems to be maybe a little bit of a dividing of the room between the veteran guys, the more prestigious players, compared to maybe some of the younger players. Now, who could some of those younger players be? I wonder. Then it continues. This is from Elliot Friedman. The Canucks are doing external research on potential front office and coaching candidates. So as if this isn't enough outside noise for the Vancouver Canucks off ice with Bo Horvat maybe not being, really sensing that he is the leader of the room or that alpha dog of the room. JT Miller kind of taking that role, even though he's only been there for 2 years. And then divide between the rookies and the veterans. And now you also have the potential of new management and coaching also in the mix. Why don't we add something else to that, right? There's got to be more, right? At this point, there's got to be something, right? Well, it doesn't look like that's necessarily the case for now. But this is definitely a story we're going to keep an eye on. And this is also from Elliot Friedman. The Canucks are doing external research on potential candidates in both the front office and behind the bench. We already heard that part. But this is the part you didn't hear yet. It's believed if they wished to speak to Claude Julien, for example, that Montreal wouldn't block permissions. Now, Claude Julien's been, I believe he was bought out by the Montreal Canadiens. But that's a guy that I wonder if he ends up being in that conversation, as Dominic Ducharme has kind of taken the reins as the head coach. Maybe Claude Julien considers that as an option, maybe in Vancouver, right? That would be interesting. So, to wrap things up, I'll give you guys a little summary. Brock Besser is apparently on the trade block. For whatever that's worth, for whatever teams may or may not be interested in him, at what price, we don't know. We don't know enough details, but that is in the conversation of the rumor mill. Bo Horvat's also getting a lot of calls. Apparently, there may be a divide between him and the team, even as the captain of the Vancouver Canucks. I wonder what that is all about. We got to dig more into this. I'm sure reporting will do that over the next couple of weeks, potentially months, through the rest of the season. So, Bo Horvat could be on his way out, maybe to his own decision. Is there maybe a little bit of fallout with Elias Pettersson maybe being upset about those rumors and the potential of Horvat getting traded? Maybe does he not feel too happy about the situation in Vancouver. And then the whole JT Miller thing. Maybe creating a divide between, the younger guys and the older guys, and JT Miller kind of taking that role as the leader, but maybe being a little bit obnoxious and impulsive and maybe not the best off-ice player to lead the Vancouver Canucks forward, especially in a city like Vancouver, which is definitely unforgiving. I'll give them that. Very unforgiving, but very passionate. I will give you that. You guys are a very passionate fan base, and you guys are probably going to feast all over all these rumors right now. It's a lot to take in. But I do wonder, what's the first ball to drop for the Canucks? Is it Travis Green? Because it's easier to drop Travis Green than to buy out Jim Benning and trade Besser and Horvat and Miller and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and continue. Is it easier to just get rid of Travis Green and see what happens? Or are they going to really have to open up the scab of maybe some stuff internally in the locker room of this team? That could be a problem. Because at the end of the day, we could see a situation where everybody moves out of Vancouver. Because if Bo Horvat's not happy, well, Elias Pettersson could potentially be upset and be on Horvat's side. And if that's his guy and he's not there and he's not really part of the whole JT Miller veteran group, well, Elias Pettersson could find himself on the outside looking in, maybe requesting a trade. Again, it's speculation, but you have to see the domino effects of what this kind of becomes. Because JT Miller could be the guy. They just pluck JT Miller out of there, who's had a decent start to the season. Maybe they pluck him out and whatever veterans around him that they kind of don't want. And it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder, since Jacob Markstrom and Chris Tanev left for Calgary last year. Alexander Edler went to LA this past summer. The Sedin's obviously retiring. There is a different leadership group in Vancouver, and it seems like there's different bands kind of being created in the locker room, and that's kind of being seen on the ice for the Vancouver Canucks. So guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Play armchair owner of the Vancouver Canucks. And obviously you can't make the trades, but if you had to get rid of the GM, the coach, a certain player or players, how would you attack this? Because obviously there's definitely different ways to do this. But in my opinion, I'm not saying this is what I would do, but I think the easiest thing would be to get rid of the head coach. But I still think if I was the GM or the owner, I would look at this more internally in the locker room, because I don't know if Travis Green has all that much to do with this. Now, maybe if you had a guy that was more of, a Rod Brendamore, and guys buy into his strategy, Barry Trotz, maybe this doesn't happen. But I think there's going to be some changes in Vancouver, and I don't know to what extent, but I am definitely interested to hear what you guys think down below. Guys, I will keep you up to date with this story, because I think this is something that is going to be in the rumor mills, in the news, because now we're starting to see some storylines kind of right themselves. Obviously, the whole thing with Jack Eichel has seemingly kind of, he's been traded now. The Montreal Canadiens aren't playing as bad as they were. Neither are the Chicago Blackhawks. So what are we going to talk about then? Right now, the next target, they may be feasting on the Vancouver Canucks out on the West Coast. And like I said, a passionate fan base that hasn't had much success there. I could see things getting pretty interesting in Vancouver. So, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey and want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Guys, thank you again, and I will talk to you again soon.